No, it's yours.
Is it?
Yeah, it's fresh.
It's fresh?
Yeah.
Nobody's been drinking
No.
Okay.
We'll start with some opening comments from Coach, and then we can take questions.
Well, obviously, if I open all these, obviously, extremely happy for our guys, proud of them, of how they've handled not only tonight, but just the trip back, the game, or the practice Saturday, game Sunday, to bounce back and to get back on track, and then in one day, prepare to play against Syracuse. Extremely proud to be their coach with how they responded here tonight and shared the ball extremely well. Were very unselfish, made good adjustments, listened in the timeouts and halftime, and just a group that I think is growing closer and closer together. And as we get closer and closer together, the chemistry gets better, and as the chemistry gets better, obviously we get better as a team. So, like I said, just couldn't be more proud of a group of guys, that all 17, that really, in short order, in the last 24 hours or so, prepared for this, and to be able to execute against a pretty good team really shows the steps they're taking forward. So just happy for our guys.
In the middle.
Greg, how do you grade Nigel's ability tonight to quarterback the middle of that zone?
Well, he being such a multi-dimensional player, meaning he can play a little bit on the perimeter. He's got size to go over people inside, and strength and some quickness. But probably one thing that's overlooked a lot with him and doesn't get talked about as much or enough is his ability to pass and his vision. And he did, I thought, a very good job for the most part of really making good decisions. Obviously, when you have 10 assists or whatever he had, 10 assists, and as much as he touched the ball in there, only 3 turnovers. He just made things go. I mean, he made a difference, and that was kind of the plan coming in, to try to touch him as much as possible, and then let him facilitate and make plays from there. And obviously, guys got to make shots too. Guys around him made shots. Ethan did a pretty good job around the rim, and but just happy for him to. That's the type of all-around player he can be and is. He's trending in the right direction. So just got to keep getting better and keep developing a supporting cast.
Greg, especially when you had your starters in there, was that about as close as textbook as you can get to playing the zone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll find several things on film that we could have done a little bit better. I think the bench helped us from a standpoint of, you didn't see the minutes tonight, but our ability to use the bench in other games previously has allowed some of the older guys to remain a little fresher at times. And I think even though maybe the numbers tonight don't show in terms of the volume of minutes the guys off the bench played, they were able to help us in previous games to, when you get in these type of situations. And specifically, I went with the starters a little longer because they were in such a rhythm. They had played very well together, and I really felt they were in sync. And unless I found, I tried to spot guys around the media timeouts, or if I saw somebody really, mouth breathing or, the different body language things I look for fatigue. I tried to go with them as much as possible. But the other thing is those guys have experience against it, more than maybe some of our younger guys do. And in only one day to prep, you have a tendency sometimes to lean on experience a little bit more, knowing that those younger guys haven't seen it quite as much. So, but really proud of all of them because the bench, like I said, helped prior to tonight to set up tonight for them to play that well.
Jeff.
Greg, a lot of times if a team doesn't shoot well from three-point range, you're asked about the quality of the shots. Tonight, they hit the three-point shots. Were most of them the result of getting the ball inside and the ball movement that led to the clean looks?
Yeah, I would think I'd have to look back at the film, but I don't know if any of them were a result of not touching the paint. Maybe it wasn't in the paint for long, but we did a pretty good job for the most part. And obviously, it always looks better when the ball goes in. But we made a pretty conscious effort, and they stayed consistent with that. They even talked about in the timeout I gave them some story in the pregame about going fishing and don't take the bait, meaning too many threes too early will be, taking it hook, line, and sinker. Don't take it hook, line, and sinker. You're going to have some looks early. If they're there, that's fine, but let's not make that 40 minutes of that. And they kept reminding each other of that. They kept saying, remember the fish thing? Remember the fish thing? So as goofy as the story was, at least it stuck. So, but they did a good job of making a conscious effort and intention to try to play inside out as much as possible.
In the front.
It looked like Ethan was looking for his shot more than usual tonight. Would you say that he has ever taken over a game to the extent that he did tonight, or did this look like one of his best games?
Well, he was able to get the ball in some pretty high percentage areas, and that was a result, obviously, of teammates doing a good job around him of stretching the floor. As we hit more and more threes, if you notice, they had to get a little wider and get a little more extended. So it left him either operating one-on-one, or as Nigel was making plays in the middle, they had to account for him too. So that's kind of the chess match that goes on with what we can do inside and outside. So he was a recipient of teammates doing a good job, and obviously for the most part, I don't know who all had the assist to him, but I'm sure a lot of those 10 those 10 of Nigel's are to Ethan. Although I know he did hit some perimeter shooters as well, but Ethan was effective. He was efficient. He sticks to what he does well, and he's very good at around the rim.
All right.
Greg, on a national level, we hear a lot about Bronson and Nigel, not as much about Ethan. How important is he to this team and what you all hope to achieve this season?
Well, he gives us a low post threat, a consistent low post threat, and I think he's getting better because his confidence is growing. He's become the one thing I noticed last year. He had a very good year as a freshman, but he was inconsistent at times. He was up and down as a normal track a freshman takes, and a lot of that was confidence driven. So I think right now his experience from last year prohibits him from having a lot of ups and downs. He's been more consistent. He's been more consistent in practice. So it's just a step in his maturity in the right direction. I think that's the biggest thing. He's just, he's playing like a sophomore and that has a year of experience under his belt.
Jeff.
Greg White hit some tough shots for them in the first half. He missed everything he threw up in the second half. I'm just curious, what was Nigel able to do to at least make it more difficult for him?
Well, a bigger, longer guy on him. We had Showalter on him most of the first half because I was worried about Leiden, and I wanted a bigger guy in Leiden, so it was kind of pick your poison for the most part. But, at halftime we talked about that and switched that around a little bit to see at least if we could get him out of rhythm. And, Nigel had guarded him in the previous years at Nebraska, or last year at Nebraska, so he was aware of his tendencies, and it was just an adjustment we made at half, and Nigel did a very good job on him, and I think we got better in other areas too. We didn't give us up as much to the rim, and we put a little more pressure on the ball, which made it harder for him or for them to find him in rhythm at time. But he made some tough shots. He got loose a couple times too. He made some mistakes, but he also hit some tough ones in the first half. And usually when you get one or two clean looks and an easy one, then the tough ones aren't that tough. And he's obviously a very good player that will have a very good year for him. But I think it was just I think Nigel's experience and his size was a factor.
Hey, following up on your fish story there, how much is this 2-week stretch here between Maui and going up to Oklahoma sort of a collective learning experience that you can sort of cash in and draw from, later this season?
Well, it's only a learning experience if you take it and learn from it. We can still run through that gamut of, you guys look at our schedule, who we played and who we've got left to play through the non-conference. But I think guys are understanding how and why we need to get better in certain areas, and they're starting to see they're reaping some of the rewards of getting better and being challenged in some areas. And I've always thought a team has to go through some form of adversity in order to reach another level or to improve. And hey, getting slapped around a little bit at Creighton and knocked around a little bit by North Carolina, it helped us expedite our process, helped us grow up a little bit, helped us mature. And so every situation, every day is a learning experience. We'll find several things from this film that we need to get better at and things that we did well. But I think we're seeing, hopefully, a trend of being more consistent in doing a lot of positive things. But they've definitely learned. They definitely taken advantage of the experiences they've had.
Ryan.
Bronson said yesterday that he felt he was close in his shot. Was it just a matter of seeing a couple go in early for him to really get him in a rhythm?
Well, I think that's a good question for him, but I think from a coach's standpoint, I've never lost faith in him because I know how good a player he is, and I watch him in practice. I watch him put extra time in before practice. I watch him do extra shooting after practice. And when you have a player that's that well established or that accomplished, you know, maybe check in with him to say, hey, you okay? You need any extra? And he's had enough experience. He'll work his way out of whatever slump he might be in. That's the one thing you tell good shooters. You know, if you're shooting till you get hot, you know, because if he takes good shots. The only thing I ever talked about was the quality and making sure it's a good shot. What's best for our team? Time, score, those type of things. What happened in terms of ball movement? Did we touch the paint? And he was obviously a recipient of some pretty good work done on the inside too, and found himself, you know, feet set, 10 toes towards the rim, and I'm sure the first one going in helped, but I wasn't that concerned if the first one didn't go in, or if, you know, he's too good a player not to eventually. Water usually finds its level, you know, so he was going to be fine.
Anything else for Coach? Oh, sorry, Jay in the back.
You gave Nigel that one last chance to get the 10th point. What was your thinking there?
He had one last chance to get the 10th point. I didn't even know it when he came out, and I don't think he knew it. And then the bench was I wondered why the bench was all kind of giddy and chirping about stuff. And then I said, all right, you got one chance to go do it. And then he's got to practice his free throws. But no, he played very well. He facilitated a lot for us, but you know, happy for him, happy for our guys. Who knows? Maybe there'll be other chances for him down the road.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.